Thank you. May I now request the panelists of this session to kindly take their seats on the dais, please? May I request CBI officers who are leisurely having tea outside to just stream in the hall, please? A very good evening. Welcome to the last session of the Chintan Shivir session, the second one. We are all aware how the rapid advancements in technology has transformed the way we live, work, and communicate. It is also commonplace now how such advancements have made cybercrimes an increasingly pervasive issue. As far as India goes, until a few years ago, access to technology was considered to be a privilege restricted to a few urban elite. 10 years ago, internet was available only to around 25 crore people in India. In last 5 years, approximately 6.25 lakh additional villages have been connected by optical fiber, contributing to the increase in number of internet users in India, which in 2021 reached 84 crores. Today, from the micro traders like street vendors, vegetable carts, small shops, to big shopping malls, all across India are seen using QR stickers for digital payments. Technology is now being increasingly used as a major tool against poverty and an effective medium to improve the ease of living. Our UPI platforms are now doing transactions worth 1.5 trillion US dollars. Benefit of FASTag technology is being experienced by all. Such rapid adoption of technology and digitalization has resulted in increased online transaction and activities, making individuals and businesses vulnerable to cyber frauds, which Mrs. Butch in her presentation referred to as digital remote controlled frauds. In addition to financial losses, such crimes also have significant social and psychological impact on individuals. To emphasize on the extent of the challenge, I have tried to just collate some data which is being reflected on the screen since last couple of minutes. These statistics surrounding cybercrime is concerning and its impact devastating. Thus, it is a major concern for individuals, businesses, and government alike. To discuss the impact of such crimes on the criminal landscape and to explore the potential solutions to mitigate this growing threat, we are joined by an eminent panel of experts comprising of Mr. Sanjay Gupta, who is the country head and vice president of Google India, Mr. Ajay Kumar, who is the head of cyber security services Asia of CrowdStrike, Mr. Cyril Gu, director operational support analysis, Interpol, and Mr. DC Jain, additional director of the CBI. To set the ball rolling, I am honored to first invite Mr. DC Jain, additional director CBI, supervising the cybercrime investigation division of the organization, who will enlighten us on the law enforcement practitioner's perspective and the practical challenges during investigation of such crimes. Mr. Jain is an IPS officer of the 1991 batch, an alumnus of the prestigious National Defense College and Cambridge University, and has served in many challenging and field assignments in Rajasthan and in the CBI. An expert in the cyber investigation, anti-corruption investigation domain, Mr. Jain has the experience of negotiating extradition treaty and mutual legal assistance in criminal matters with a number of countries. Currently, he is representing India at the working group of the Interpol, which is reviewing legal provisions related to the working of the governance bodies of the Interpol. I invite you, sir, to start the proceedings now.
Do we have the remote here, or somebody will control? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Vinit, for introducing the topic and for such a generous introduction. As has been told, in this particular Chintan session, we will discuss how the advent of internet and advancement in technology has changed the crime landscape, more particularly the conventional property crimes. The figures shown by Vinit reveals the deep penetration of internet and smartphones in India, having 1.4 billion population. Hence, the vulnerabilities are too serious to be ignored. In my presentation, I will try to highlight the shift in the scale, scope, and reach of these cyber-enabled crimes, challenges the law enforcement agencies have been facing in dealing with the same, and the expected role of various stakeholders in tackling it. Next. As far as conventional property crimes are concerned, we all know that since these are the types of crimes that we have been dealing with: theft, robbery, dacoity, extortion, housebreaking. And the point to be noted is that our criminal justice system and the legal framework, it is designed to basically deal with these kind of crimes as far as their prevention, detection, investigation, and prosecution is concerned. Next. These are the figures, like in 2021, as per the NCRB data, so many cases of burglary, extortion, robbery, and dacoity were reported all over the country, and the total is 1,41,162 such crimes. Next. Now, you can see from the offender's point of view, when we look at the conventional property crimes and its features, we know that the jurisdiction of occurrence, investigation and prosecution is well defined. We know where the crime has occurred. Then the criminals are often generally physically present, so it is not very difficult to track and trace them. And the number of crimes committed on a daily basis by a criminal would be limited. And from a criminal perspective, committing such crimes is a high risk, low return phenomena. Therefore, the incidence of these kind of crimes is not too much. Next. But the advent of internet and technology has changed all this dramatically, and it has completely changed the landscape of these crimes. Today, criminals have been exploiting these tools in committing above property crimes by resorting to large-scale cyber impersonation, phishing, various kind of fintech frauds are happening mainly through the payment gateways, we all know. Then there is this problem of cyber hacking, cyber extortion, crypto frauds. So this has completely changed. The technology has completely changed the way the criminals are now committing such property crimes. Next. Now, this is the important thing that what are the general features of these cyber-enabled crimes? I think the most important is that these are borderless crimes. These are faceless crimes. They offer the advantage of anonymity. And also, because of the use of technology, their scale, scope, and reach has risen exponentially. By just pressing a click of a mouse, we all know that a criminal can affect several thousands of persons, systems across continents and countries in just few seconds. So, and the other challenge before the law enforcement agencies is that the evidence of such crimes is often located in multi-jurisdictions. It is not located in one place or one country, but often it is located abroad. And these are the crimes which can be committed by making very low investment and have low risk but very high returns. So, next. Next slide shows the exponential rise in the figures, like again taking 2021 against a total of 1,41,162 conventional property crimes. In the year 2021, we saw the total number of crimes being reported is 8,44,432 cyber-enabled property crimes. So one can see an exponential rise, and this may not be the correct figure because it only includes the figure reported on the National Cyber Reporting Helpline maintained by I4C with the help of NCRB. So the actual figure could be much more. Next. This slide shows the breakup of various types of reported crimes. Here we see that the fintech frauds, comprising of payment gateway frauds, including internet banking, have the major component, more than 4.75 lakhs, and then credit card frauds and others. So these are the new emerging cyber-enabled crimes. Next. These are the new emerging cyber-enabled crimes. One can see the craze of this digital currency frauds or the cryptocurrency frauds. One knows the craze for possessing and investing cryptocurrency has led to origin of many crypto frauds by creation of fake crypto wallets, as well as hacking the existing crypto wallets for causing frauds. Here, then again, this is ransomware 4. So, when through this ransomware attack, not only the victim's data is stolen, but the individual whose data is stolen is directly contacted by the scamsters, and there is a demand of ransom is made. This is why it is called as the ransomware attack 4. Fintech frauds, we all have already just mentioned, become a new popular way of stealing and hiding money. Loans or investment frauds. Post-COVID, because of the financial crisis, people were looking for small credits, micro credits. So suddenly one see there is so many loan apps flooding the online platforms like the search engines, Google Play Store or other Play Stores. So they steal personal data and use that for harassing or extorting money. And we have seen many cases of suicide because of this harassment and extortions by the people who are behind it. One disturbing trend from our point of view is also this, that many of these loan apps are being controlled by countries which are inimical to our country. The next slide shows that women and children in particular have become quite vulnerable to these technological crimes. We see an exponential growth in child sexual exploitation material available online. More and more instances of cyber stalking, cyber grooming, cyber bullying, morphing of images, and creating fake videos using deep learning enabled deepfake technology are coming into the fore. And we have, in CBI also, we have been trying to deal with this. We have registered number of cases by launching certain operations, which were talked about in our film also. Next. Now, as an investigator or as the law enforcement agency, when I try to investigate, means when I try to collect evidence for investigating these crimes, I sort of come across a firewall. Because the criminals, they have been using many such technologies like the Tor networks or the onion router networks, then the virtual private networks, which and no-log domain services are offered by platforms such as Proton Mail or DuckDuck. So all these networks and services, they ensure they obscure the identity or the face of the criminal, and they also obscure the digital footprints. Therefore, tracking and tracing the criminal becomes very, very difficult. Then we also know, the last slide, sorry, please go back. Yeah. We know too well the difficulties the law enforcement agencies have been facing because of the platforms such as WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, which provide encrypted end-to-end chats and other forms of exchange of material. Then crypto is used to a large extent for hiding the proceeds of crime, and because there is an absence of an effective oversight mechanism, it is very difficult to track and seize these assets by the law enforcement agencies. Next. As we know, the evidence in most of these cases is lying abroad. And for prosecuting a criminal in a court, I need evidence in admissible form. And the available tool in the legal framework is either the letter rogatory or the ML Act. And we know how difficult, first of all, what is the process. So this slide depicts the process one has to go through. In order to get a LR issued, first I need permission of the government, and then I go to the court, get it issued by the court, then again through the nodal agency of my country, through diplomatic channels, I'll reach the requested state, which will send it to the nodal agency of that country, and again it will be put to the court, and then it will go to the investigating agency or the law enforcement agency of that country. So in this process, and then I'm totally at their will. Our experience tells us that it often takes many years in getting these LRs executed, and most of the times it is not executed to our satisfaction. So we have no option but to keep sending supplementary LRs. So getting evidence from abroad is, I think, the most daunting task, and the existing legal framework is simply not sufficient to deal with the challenges. Therefore, I think we will have to look for alternatives. Next. Now, these are the various stakeholders, as we can see, the law enforcement agencies, tech giant companies like the Google, we have Mr. Gupta here. Then the global agencies like the Interpol, we have Mr. Gu, UN, Europol, etc. Of course, governments, because they provide us the resources and the legal framework, and the courts, which ultimately have to try these offenses and punish the culprit. So each stakeholder has a role, and in the next few slides, we are trying to show what is expected from them. Next. As far as the tech giants are concerned, basically they mine the data. They are in possession of huge data. So I think what is expected from them is to leverage latest technologies like the artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning for predictive prevention. They should be able to identify and prevent criminal behavior on their platforms. By resorting to big data analytics, if they can report suspicious activities to the law enforcement agencies, then it can help. They may take resort to cyber patrolling for identifying cyber crimes, including the child sexual exploitation material and deepfake, etc. They need to recognize the right of victims and they need to provide assistance based upon the victim-oriented jurisdiction. So, and since they have been, like in the country where they operate, they have been, I would say that they are the big commercial firms. So they may provide necessary technological support to the law enforcement agencies, especially to developing countries without cost. So we will definitely like to hear more on this from Mr. Gupta. Next. The global agencies like the Interpol, the United Nations, and the Europol, etc. Basically, I think the problem is to ensure real-time exchange and sharing of information and expertise. So they will have to work in that direction. They will have to help the law enforcement agencies in capacity building, and they should help in setting the global standards for the tech giants. Interpol has a special role and responsibility because it is the largest international police organization facilitating direct police-to-police cooperation. So we would expect it to take the lead in bringing various nation states and tech giants on one platform and help designing solutions. By working together, global agencies and tech giants can make a real difference in this fight against cybercrime. On this, we would like to hear more from Mr. Gu. Next. As far as the law enforcement agencies and courts are concerned, I think they need a new updated legal framework to deal with this problem. They need to reorient themselves. They need to be provided with the necessary technical and forensic support, training, capacity building, so, because I think the current state of affairs is simply inadequate. Next. Regarding international conventions on this subject, I think what I have been told is that there is only one convention as on date, what is called as the Budapest Convention, which came into being in 2001, and about 67 parties are its members. It provides for cooperation in tackling cybercrime, and currently there is a UN committee which has been negotiating international convention on countering the use of information and communication technology for criminal purposes. CBI has been representing India in this, these negotiations. So I think if through these conventions, if the international bodies can ensure international cooperation in fighting cybercrime on real-time basis, that is the key, then only if it is able to ensure a coordinated global solution. Next. So basically, to conclude, we have seen that internet and technology has totally transformed the crime landscape. There is a spiral increase in new and conventional crimes. Existing legal framework is simply not able to cope up with the same. Each stakeholder needs to play its role and responsibilities effectively, and there has to be a seamless global cooperation, which is the need of the hour. Capacity building of law enforcement agencies, courts, and various stakeholders is a must, and new conventions and other instruments required for facilitating real-time international cooperation is also required. Next. We in CBI have been playing various roles as far as dealing with the cyber crimes are concerned. We are the nodal agency for Government of India to investigate all crimes concerning Government of India ministries and departments. We are the knowledge house of Government of India on investigation of cyber crimes. We handle cyber-related requests from Interpol. We all are the nodal agency which maintain this G7 24/7 network for preserving digital evidence, and about more than 130 countries are a member of this. We are the focal point of international dialogues I mentioned about. We are the NCB India. We have a specialized unit to deal with online child sexual abuse cases. We have done several operations, and we are part of the ICSE database of the Interpol. Next. So this is the last slide. Cybercrime has no border, and fight against it shouldn't be either. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. The next speaker on the panel is Mr. Sanjay Gupta, Country Head and Vice President of Google India. Mr. Gupta will be enlightening us on the role of big tech in meeting the challenges of cyber-enabled financial crimes. An alumnus of the Delhi College of Engineering and the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, Mr. Gupta is focused on driving key initiatives under Google's mission in India of making the internet helpful and safer for 1 billion of Indians. A thought leader in digital domain, he has an experience of around 3 decades across sunrise sectors like media, telecom, and FMCG, giving him deep insights into India's diverse business landscape. Sir, may I now invite you to take the dais.
Thank you and good evening. Before I begin my conversation, let me first compliment my co-panelist, Mr. Vineet Vinayak, and all the awardees today for the PPM Police, the President Police Medal and Gold Medal. So a round of applause, and to their families. It feels so proud to be sitting here and feeling how our nation is kept safe by all of you. So thank you, sir, for keeping us safe and for seeing in this August audience. I also want to congratulate the entire CBI organization on this incredible milestone. For me personally, and for all of us at Google, it is a privilege to be invited here today to join these celebrations. So thank you to all of you, and thank you, Mr. Subodh Jaiswal, for inviting me for this honor. Thank you so much. We have heard a lot of conversations since morning, and I'm sure it's not easy to just hear words. So I thought let me start by showing you a video. It's not about internet or safety. It's about India. As a proud Indian, we feel really proud of the moment we are in on 75th year of independence. So let me share with you a moment that we created as Google at the 75th year of independence. So can we play the video, please?
जब इतना खोजने के बाद हमें आजादी मिली, तो आजादी ने हमसे पूछा, अब क्या खोजोगे? और हमने कहा हमें खोज है एक ऐसे कल की जिसे हम खुद लिखें, जिसमें सपनों की कोई सीमा ना हो और कोई कदम धीमा ना हो। एक ऐसा कल जो हरा हो, सफेद हो, जिसमें हम दुनिया को जाने।
ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है आपको?
सारे जहां से अच्छा।
और दुनिया हमें।
वास्तव में ना भानुवत है यार।
हमें खोज है एक ऐसे कल की जहां मिले नई उड़ाने, नई उम्मीदें, नए फसाने, जहां कदमों से मिले कदम, जहां हर घड़ी हर पल रफ्तार पकड़े हम, सुनहरा उज्जवल ऐसा एक कल।
आइडियाज पर इन्वेस्टमेंट का दौर है, स्टार्टअप्स को सपोर्ट करने का दौर है।
75 साल, 140 करोड़ हिंदुस्तानी और अनगिनत सपने। आइए मिलकर जश्न मनाएं इंडिया की इस उड़ान का।
Thank you. Every time I see this video, it gives me goosebumps because this underlines the giant strides India has made in embracing technology to improve the lives of our 140 crore citizens. As we focus on the progress of our country, also we have the responsibility to protect its interests and its people from all types of harm and bad actors. And towards that, I feel CBI has played a critical role in the last 60 years. So congratulations on this Diamond Jubilee celebration. We at Google recognize this responsibility equally. As a technology company that puts helpful and useful products in the hands of billions of people all over the world, we cannot simply pursue the goal of progress without building security and protections in everything we do. Many of you may not know this, but Google experienced the most sophisticated hacking attack in December 2009, and that changed the way we operate. I encourage each one of you to watch this series called Hacking Google on YouTube. It will give you a good overview of how a company of our size and scale deals with cybersecurity threats. I would like to play a small video which is a teaser to this 6-part series. So can we play the trailer, please?
We detected a highly sophisticated and targeted attack on our corporate infrastructure.
I didn't used to think that a foreign military would come after us, and now they obviously are.
This was something that we'd never seen before.
A new kind of problem. It's not just country versus country. All of us are somewhat on these front lines.
It's their job, 24/7, to try to break into places like Google.
Hope is not a strategy. You need a team of professionals with exactly the right knowledge and expertise.
It's mildly ominous.
To do the kind of work we do, you need to cherry pick the best of the best.
I might qualify it by saying I'm an ethical hacker, but yes, I'm a hacker.
Definitely consider myself a hacker.
Hacker.
I wear mostly hoods for some reason.
This is very serious.
The attacker's after something, and you want to find out what they're after.
The attack happened over Christmas.
Santa may arrive late this year. Someone is always rattling your doorknob to see if it's unlocked.
We're constantly testing our products.
Car companies crash their cars to make sure they're safe. So do we.
So much more is at stake now. Human rights,
Privacy,
Professional life, personal life.
the entire ecosystem around an election.
It's not just securing Google, it's securing the internet.
I'm in this battle because I believe we can win.
Hunt them down, contain them, and then boot them out.
burn it down. If any attackers try to get in, I want them to have a very bad day.
My colleague Saikat Mitra, who heads our trust and safety operations for Asia, is also here with me today, and he can talk to you more about how we reinvented security at Google. Today, our trust and safety operations are a force of 20,000 experts globally, and many of them are based right here in India. Saikat is based in India, and thank you for joining me today, Saikat. We at Google keep more people safe online than anyone else in the world. And we do this by doing three things. One, our products are secure by default. Second, they're private by design. And third, we put users in control of the data that they have. They are in control of their own data. So what do? We automatically detect and block threats before they ever reach the consumer or the customer. We protect users while they're browsing the internet through proactive alerts and guidance, which a lot of you may be seeing when you use Google products. When you use our products, you trust us with your data, and we are committed to making sure that every product keeps your data private, safe, and secure. I must say, today, Gmail, which is a lot of us use, blocks 99.9% of spam, phishing attempts, and malware from reaching users, and blocks over 10 crore phishing attempts every day. So the scale of what we are going to deal with, and I think earlier Mr. Jain talked about how the number of cyber crimes are 6 times the physical crimes. The scale is still yet to come of what will unleash. So I think it's a real challenge and an opportunity for us to solve it together. But let's take a moment to reflect on how all this plays out in the context of India. And I think, as you rightly showed, we have more than 70 crore people on internet today, but 70% of them are coming from rural India, and they are engaging with internet in English language, which is not their mother tongue. We had last month more than 800 crore UPI transactions in a month. And we are the most advanced digital payments country in the world. So imagine the scale, and this is still small. I do believe by next Diwali, this could be around 30 billion transactions, which means 3,000 crore. That's the pace of growth which we are seeing on UPI and payments through UPI. On the other hand, technology is touching every part of our life. It is impacting through payments, on entertainment, on commerce, on health and education, almost everything that you can think of, even agriculture. And as we make progress with these technologies like AI to make the internet more helpful and useful for 1 billion Indians, it can also empower bad actors to find new ways to run scams and thefts. India, I believe, is extremely vulnerable to these threats, and let me explain why that is true. First, much of the technology infrastructure today across the organizations in the country is dangerously outdated. There's an extremely urgent need to modernize vulnerable systems and infrastructure in India. Second, even when you use secure infrastructure, given digital nascency of India, we have a very vulnerable population that falls prey to these scamsters who use the internet to trick people to engage in an online, but more likely an offline fraud. So what you said when you started, it's a cyber-linked crimes, not cyber-dependent crimes. And that really makes us really, really vulnerable. These are the cases that some of you would have seen, and maybe you have much better count of these cases as they happen today. Cybersecurity concerns have never been more pressing. India's diverse user base and rapid digitalization means that it is essential for us to establish a collective standard for internet safety and develop a less reactive but more nimble approach to the challenges that we face today. So what's the answer? How can we ensure that we get ahead of this problem? To my mind, the answer again lies in technology. We just don't need security softwares. We need software that is more secure by default. As a company, we are now focused than ever before on doing three things. First, our number one priority is to protect people, organizations, and governments by making our products secure, and second, identifying threats and vulnerabilities, both within Google and outside Google, and sharing that knowledge with key stakeholders in the environment. The second thing, we are empowering the ecosystem by making our security tools open and secure, which is open for anybody to use, not just by Google, improve awareness in society, and by skilling the industry wherever we can. And finally, advance the state of art in cybersecurity. This is also borne out in our mission statement in India, where we say we want to make the internet helpful and safer for 1 billion Indians and enable India to become a leading digital economy. So let me talk first about protecting people. What do we do in protecting people? We are using advanced security systems using machine learning and AI tools to detect fraudulent activities. This allows us to keep more users safe, as I said, from blocking, phishing, and spam messages. But let me give you an example of Google Pay. Every day with Google Pay, which is part of the UPI for India, we proactively deny 1 lakh fraudulent transactions, which don't get to happen because we have blocked them before they happen. We also alert 2 lakh suspicious transactions every day to Google Pay users. And roughly 40% of those get cancelled. That means potentially they were dangerous. So close to 3 lakh are being done today. And this scale is only going to get increased as we move forward. The other big challenge is the weak passwords, which is a common issue. So we are working towards a passwordless future. We were the first company to make two-factor authentication available by default, a critical way to protect your accounts and prevent cyber attacks. And we are making it easier for Indians to activate all this by making it available on Google Assistant in Hindi and many more languages. As I said, the users who are coming to us are not comfortable with English. They're comfortable in Indian languages. As you know, we also, a lot of our products host content and crores of people use them every day across age groups. We recognize the responsibility that you have to ensure that both women and children, as you said, are kept safe when they use these products. We have zero tolerance for child sexual abuse material. And our systems are particularly effective at capturing that, and we remove them even before anybody sees them, all done through technology. Where they're getting removed. We publish these reports every quarter on YouTube to say what videos do we remove. We get a lot of requests from the government to remove videos, but we remove every quarter, and this is a report from Q3 2022, 1.7 million videos on YouTube in India we had removed proactively because of our community guidelines. More than 96% were flagged automatically using technology, and 80% of these videos got removed even before 10 people had seen it. And in this war against child sexual abuse and other such things, that's the only way. You have to be ahead of that curve by using technology. I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with the lending app issues in India. I think that's an issue I'm sure has troubled a lot of us deeply and started on Play Store. Access to personal loan is a real need, especially during the pandemic when people were really sitting on tight budgets. And there were many Indian and very legitimate startups that operate in this space, which we allow on Play Store. So when we had some bad actors operate in this space, you can't actually detect anything wrong in their apps, but they become dangerous when users give them access to either their photographs or to contacts, which they misuse to extort money. And those extortion cells are outside India, maybe in whichever country in the world. We have doubled down on this and changed our policies now so that we can restrict access and deny non-essential permissions for such apps. Because it's critical to learn quickly. We can't predict what will happen. But when we notice, pounce on it and see what we can change to prevent further abuse. As an additional step, we have launched a new layer of protection from financial scams by requiring advertisers of financial services to undergo an independent verification and certification process before they can run any ads on any of our products. This is critical when I tell you the data on how many bad ads that come to us every year. Our systems are continuously working to detect bad ads across our products, across the board. In 2022, and I'm not quoting global figures now, we removed 500 crore ads. 500 crore ads we removed. We restricted over 400 crore ads and suspended over 65 lakh advertising accounts. So the scale of this is truly mind-boggling. And we're doing more. Our recent acquisition of Mandiant, which offers cutting-edge AI-driven cyber threat intelligence, combined with our existing solutions, we are able to deliver even better end-to-end security capabilities. We have also established a very important group called Threat Analysis Group, which works to combat targeted and government-backed hacking against Google, society, or consumers. They detect vulnerability across the internet and act to defeat threats and warn people about the world's most sophisticated adversaries. In the last 12 months, TAG, which is the Threat Analysis Group, has issued hundreds of government-backed attack warnings across the world. We have also established a Google Cybersecurity Action Team, GCAT, to provide strategic advisory services to support governments and organizations. We are keen, and I do think we should collaborate and bring these advanced capabilities and partner India to make India's digital economy safer. Let me now talk about empowering society. What do I mean by that? In India, we are committed to support the industry to make the system safer by sharing our knowledge and expertise transparently. From individual devices to cloud services to the internet, we believe open and interoperable systems should be more secure for users. Security is too important for us all not to work together. Last year, in partnership with telecom companies, banks, Indian Banking Association that we heard from earlier, and the IT Ministry, we launched a multi-million-dollar campaign to educate users. Let me just play that small one ad of that campaign.
अपना घर बनाने का सपना कहीं सपना ना रह जाए, इसलिए हम दे रहे हैं होम लोन्स विदाउट एनी इंटरेस्ट। अभी इस लिंक पर क्लिक कीजिए। ऐसे बेवकूफ बनाते हैं स्कैमर्स, इसीलिए दो बातों का ध्यान रखें। अनजान लिंक भी कभी क्लिक न करें और बैंक डिटेल्स कभी शेयर न करें। इंटरनेट सेफ्टी के लिए रहो तो कदम आगे। लॉग ऑन टू गूगल सेफ्टी सेंटर।
This effort is an ongoing for us, and we continue to work with startups and developers to educate them on building safety into their apps. In addition to this, our nodal officers team in India collaborates very closely with law enforcement agencies across the country, 24/7, to resolve issues and raise awareness on faster turnaround processes. In 2022, we shared our learnings with 3,900 law enforcement officials in 15 states and union territories and 11 central agencies. We are making investment in this area because we are committed to doing more to proactively protect our citizens. But the internet is a multi-stakeholder system which requires cooperation amongst us all. And that is especially true in India, an innovation powerhouse and with a vibrant, fast-growing digital ecosystem. As you all know this very well, safety is also such a thing that no amount of effort will ever be enough. It's a day-in, day-out race against continuously shape-shifting bad actors whose only goal is to take advantage of any gaps in the internet's guardrails. A multi-dimensional challenge emphasizes the need for collaborations across government, industry, and academia. The issue of safety is therefore not just a compliance checkbox. It is a foundation on which we need to build our digital future. So to close, I would say it's a mission that we all share, because building a safer internet for everyone is not one more thing to do. It is the one thing to do. Together. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for a very interesting presentation. The third panelist to share his insights is Mr. Ajay Kumar, who is the head of Cybersecurity Services Asia at CrowdStrike, based at Singapore. His company brings together technology, intelligence, and expertise in cybersecurity domain to analyze and identify shifts in adversarial tactics and formulate commensurate responses. Mr. Kumar had earlier worked as senior positions in fintech, financial services, and banking operations, and excels in forensic investigations, cybersecurity, and data privacy. I welcome Mr. Ajay Kumar to share his views on technique, tactics, and procedures in cyber-enabled crimes and the mitigation strategy. Mr. Kumar.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you very much, Mr. Jaiswal, actually, for inviting me for this session, and fellow panelists. I'm not sure about whether you know about CrowdStrike or not, but let me give you a quick introduction And of course, my presentation is after Google. Let me tell you that Google invested in CrowdStrike in 2015 before actually we went for a IPO. So there is definitely a relationship with Google here. I know that there was an introduction, but let me tell you a little bit more about what we are doing and what I'm doing actually in Singapore other than the CrowdStrike role. I'm also a DSCI, Data Security Council of India, anchor of a Singapore chapter, which is the first international chapter of DSCI, which was set up by NASSCOM. I'm also a chair of ISACA, and in board of director of ISACA. ISACA is an industry association globally, which provide those sort of certifications like CISM, CRISC. I'm also a chair of Cyber SIG, which is a strategic interest group in Singapore and collaborating with government, academia, industry, corporates, and definitely a lot of stakeholders in cybersecurity. Now, if you look at the CrowdStrike's role, just to give you a perspective who we are in a leadership position actually in a Gartner Magic Quadrant, in Forrester Wave, and we are the largest market share in terms of a cybersecurity as per IDC. So the largest company in the world actually, if you talk about the cybersecurity at this moment. So we have that kind of a platform which secure cloud, which secure endpoint, which secure identity, which secure actually a people who work actually in different organizations. And it is based on artificial intelligence and machine learning platform. I'm not going to get into more of a the platform discussion. Let me quickly actually move what we do. Since I mentioned that it's based on artificial intelligence and machine learning, we analyze trillions of data every single day. And that data which comes to us, which come to our artificial intelligence and machine learning based solution, we find those insights. And that is the reason we continuously do a managed threat hunting. And because of our product and services, we stopped 90,000 plus breaches last year. And that number actually is coming from our solutions, the services which we provide to our customers, including hundreds of customers in India, including some of the PSUs who are using our solutions. We are also looking at the threat intelligence part. So we are one of the largest threat intelligence provider, where we look at the the different social media page, the trillions of data which we analyze, or we analyze actually different web pages where we get a lot of informations, or even the dark web monitoring, the side of the business, and where we collect the data and we provide those insights to the end customer, to the organizations, whether government, academia, or different corporates. Another part of our role is we help organizations in terms of forensic investigations. Now, if you look at it, we started this forensic investigation probably in 2011. And till now, so far, actually, we have hundreds of forensic investigations which we have provided, whether it's the government systems or the corporate systems or even the academia. I started with the point of sale breach, in early 2013, which was one of the largest, retailer chain in US. We were the investigation agency for that. I can't take the name because of the confidentiality, but definitely you would probably realize that whom I'm talking about right now. Or even the Sony breach hack, or even the winter game where we actually was engaged in terms of forensic investigation. We came in light in media when the DNC attack happened, when election in between President Trump and Hillary Clinton, and that attack happened on those systems, the DNC attack. We were the investigation agency actually for that, or investigation organization for that. Recently, whether Log4j vulnerability, Microsoft Exchange vulnerability, or a SolarWinds cases, if you have heard about it, or even the supply chain attacks, we have been engaging with organizations to stop those breaches or helping in terms of forensic investigations. So in terms of the securing, as I said, from endpoint to cloud to identity to the network, actually we are securing. Now I'll come to the main topic of the session. Breaches are everywhere, and everybody knows about it. This is the IDC data, which came in 2019, and it is still relevant. 1 out of 3 organizations has been breached by ransomware in past 12 months. I have not changed actually this slide since 2019. because the data is still relevant. 1 out of 3, it's a huge number if you look at it. 1 out of 3 organizations are being breached. And this is another truth about cybercrime or a cyber incident. So let me tell you one very interesting thing when I was talking to one very senior analyst in US a couple of weeks back. And he told me that there are only 2 types of organizations. One, who have been breached, another, who are going to be breached. There is no third. So that means, and this is the cycle, who have been breached, they do not learn from those breaches and again actually stuck in the same cycle. They are going to be breached again. I was talking to one manufacturing organization in Indonesia who said, actually we breach every 3 months. And that is a manufacturing organization. I was talking to one telecom company in Southeast Asia who says, oh, breaches. In telecom, it happens every day. And that is where actually every organization, or even the person, or even the citizen, if you look at, some of the, the data point and you search on the Google, which is the platform, right? And if you search whether your email ID has been hacked, definitely you would find somewhere some of the password where you have already saved probably is already breached. So I think the breaches are happening all across the world. But COVID created a difficult situation and has given an opportunity to those adversaries. And what they have done, because there are a lot of employees who moved from their corporate perimeter, the security perimeter, to work from home environment, and that's the reason actually they took the advantage. And what they did, because you have a personal devices and email, which are being operated in the unsecured environment, and you have the different provision of a corporate assets on your BYOD devices. You have a scalable deployment, and that's the reason there are a lot of tactics which were organized by these adversaries, including phishing, right? Including spear phishing or targeted remote services. And that's the reason we always recommend that you should know what you manage. You should have a complete visibility of your assets. You should have a complete visibility actually of your infrastructure, your actually, the entire assets, your golden jewel. The time to value in terms of awareness or IT hygiene, these are the recommendations which we already, provide to several organizations when we engage, when we actually, talk about the, the cybersecurity. The attack sophistication has increased a lot because now we talk about, oh, this is a malware problem. It's no more malware problem because attacks are not only malware-based attacks. Now they are malware-free attacks. There are far less attacks coming in. And that's the reason the signature-based endpoint security is not going to protect the environment, not going to protect the systems, not going to protect the individuals or citizens, because they can use the native applications of any system and can actually take the lateral movement from there. So that means the attacks are being sophisticated, but we are still there using the old and traditional technology actually to prevent and to respond to those cyber attacks. If you look at the data point which was from our report, out of the financially motivated e-crimes, the ransomware is 81%. The rest, other e-crime groups, right, different kind of attacks. We track 213 adversary group across the globe. Whether these are the nation states, we talk about the Iranians, we talk about the North Koreans, or we talk about any other nation states, e-crime groups, or even the ransomware groups. We track 213 groups actually, and their TTPs, what they are doing, what are the tactics, how they attack the organization. We track all day and night, 24/7. If you look at, this is another key point which I'm going to highlight. The speed is the key for any incident. When someone is hacked, someone is breached. If you look at this data point, and you would be surprised, the breakout point is where an adversary has already taken initial access as part of the cyber kill chain and has moved to the lateral movement. A one nation state actor just takes 18 minutes and 49 seconds to breach the system. And can you imagine, an information security team or a CISO of an organization take 162 hours to detect, understand, contain, and eradicate or remediate. See the speed of those adversaries. They're very, very sophisticated, highly sophisticated. And that's the reason they are ahead in the game always, because they are doing day and night, and they have sophisticated technologies and tactics. This is what I mentioned earlier. The attacks are not only malware attacks which are happening across the globe. 49% of total attacks are malware, but 51% attack, globally, it's a global data, are malware-free, or fileless attacks. So that means if someone is going to put the traditional antivirus, looking at the signature-based technology, it is not going to work, because you need a behavioral-based, artificial intelligence-based endpoint security, which can look at what are the changes in your system, so it can track and actually prevent from there. And that's the reason, if you look at this report, it takes e-crime breakout, the e-crime breakout time is 84 minutes. I mean, if you look at the overall pre-breakout time, there are a lot of recon activities happened. Adversaries actually make a victim profile. They go to the Facebook, they look at what I'm doing. Even if I post, and that's the reason we always advise, do not post each and everything on social media platform, because somebody is tracking you. Somebody is really tracking you, because there is a digital footprint always. There was a lady in the UK who posted, hey, we all family members are going out, we'll come back tomorrow morning. And actually there was a theft at her home the same night, because she was so actually proactive to post it. We are told whenever we go and whenever we travel, as an organization, as an employee of a CrowdStrike, we are told to our president of services, please do not post your travel on social media, because somebody can track you. And that's the reason the adversaries are tracking, adversaries are making a profile of a victims based on the FB data, based on the Instagram, what you post, based on the LinkedIn. In fact, you can find out where I check in if I'm not, taking care of my, digital footprint, where I checked in, where I went last week, where I'm going to be actually next week. So all the details, and you are thinking that, okay, I'm sending the information, I'm putting the information, but each and every adversary who is behind you, and they have a different tactics actually to track each and every information, whether Twitter, email, or phone, or even the cold call. I'm based in Singapore, and it's a pretty advanced country, but look at it this way, that I get sometimes calls, hey, I'm calling from this telecom company, can you check that there is some issue in your router, right? And actually, I use another telecom company. I don't use the same company, right? So these are the tactics actually they use it. They did it for a COVID situation, where someone sent an email, okay, that this government is going to give a subsidy, going to give a free vaccine, can you update your information? Or email went to the HR, can you update your employees' details on this link? And that's the reason actually a lot of is spear phishing. Targeted attack to the CFOs, targeted attack to head of HR, targeted attack to CEO, and COO happened as part of the spear phishing attacks. Banks, a lot of actually emails and communication calls are coming in. Your card has been blocked. Would you like to renew it? And I think it has been told several times, mentioned several times in the previous presentations. The healthcare, this is another, another tactics actually they use it because of the COVID situation. Logistic, or your shipment has reached, please check whether your address is correct or not. And that is the reason actually someone can click it and they are part of the, the cybercrime. These kind of, the tactics is creating a lot of disruption and mayhem. I mean, the crypto malware, which can block, which can encrypt the systems in few minutes. The moment it is there, it can actually, create the mayhem actually for that. The lockers, the scareware, or the Doxware, or the rest. The ransomware as a service is a new service. It's no more a ransomware. If someone is thinking that, okay, it's a ransomware attack, no, actually, it is a ransomware as a service. The way you have a marketplace, you take some service, ransomware as a service is easily available, and you actually search and you can actually find right tools and techniques and tactics, to use those kind of procedures. So what is happening? Extortion, the data leak, data exfiltration, and then ask for a ransom payment. You would be surprised that, because we do a lot of investigation, that because of the cryptocurrency went down, the ransomware adversaries were equally impacted. Because they always like that there should not be any trace of the transaction. They can't transact on the banking system because anybody can trace them globally. So that's the reason there was a decline, but now it is again up, and they're asking for a lot of Ethereum and cryptocurrency as a ransom. Living off the land, and this is another technique which they use it. It means they can use your command line, they can use your native applications of the system and can move where your endpoint security cannot track, cannot detect. It would look like a legitimate request in your system, and you would think it is not something which is an adversary is doing. And that's the reason the living of the land has been increasing on a daily basis. And that is the biggest challenge at this moment if you look at it, especially the ransomware and nation states. A highly sophistication. So as I mentioned, they are very, very highly sophisticated. An access broker. This is another point which probably I would like to mention on the next slide. What is the access broker and what they do? It is a life cycle of a ransomware. As I mentioned, don't put anything on the FB. That means I'm talking about recon. They do a lot of planning before attack happened. And any ransomware life cycle is start with the recon. And reconnaissance is a long process. It may take a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years to reach at that stage where they can deliver the payload, exploit the vulnerability, install those malwares, and actually take the lateral movement. And once they take the lateral movement, and what they do, first exfiltrate the data. So they have a data now they encrypt the system, and then ask for the ransom. And that is another challenge where very basic informations like your backups. The organizations think that backup is not important. This is the most important thing actually, to have a right backup. To have a right multi-factor authentication or 2FA on your systems. And that's the reason actually ransomware have been increasing day by day. If you look at the digital risk is accelerating, and I'll give you one example of a recent. Someone thinks that adversaries are going in the dark web searching for the information. Yes, that's true. They are doing it. But now they have used another tactic. They used a couple of time back. They use a Signal app. Signal is considered as one of the secured app. And they were exchanging a lot of information. They're sharing a lot of information, but because they feel that it is very secure. And that's the reason, because of the rise of the number of accounts which were created on Signal, the Signal was down. Yeah, so they are finding different ways and innovative ways actually to look at how they can penetrate in the organization's infrastructure. You have seen this, the cybercrime has an ad budget. They do a lot of SEOs, search engine optimization. They look at a lot of social media marketing. They do it. And intentionally they burn those dollars and rupees to keep up in the search engine. So they always go up because they are investing in a lot of money in the AdWords and the SEOs. They have a specific budget. And that's the reason in one of the, the scenario, trapping the known as unknown, where what you see is on the search engine, you click the link on there, but that link goes to some other site. I think there was one case in India, I think recently one cybercrime division, I think investigated, where the adversaries were providing a dealership, to the companies like McDonald's dealership.com or something, where a lot of information was shared, and there was a lot of actually the money was stolen because of that. So if you look at, if you do not have a right technology, right skill set, right intent, I think it is going to be a big problem when you search something and you go somewhere else. And that's the reason the phishing campaigns on the rise. In overall cyber incident, if you look at it, almost 85 to 90% are because of the phishing attacks. And that's a data, global data. It is not something which we are providing. There are a lot of things happening. The moment, this is the link where the internal IT team says that, okay, your IT system or your account is blocked, please change your, please change your password. But there is a link and to share the information, but link is not the actual link. It is not a legitimate link. And that's the reason actually click on that, you reach somewhere else and an attack happens. So I think that's the reason we always recommend that what should be the right sort of technology which can be used by the organization, whether it is a DMARC or any other the standard policy the framework. If you look at this recent phishing exercise, which is a threat symptom, which says that you have to do it. You are going to immediately require to change your password, right? So wherever there is an emergency or urgency, that means there is something cooking. There could be something where someone is trying to give a message that it is very, very urgent. You have to take an action. In one of the recent phishing exercise, look at the data point where the employees of those organizations, out of 4,480 users, 1,078 clicked on the phishing link, and 1,008 provided credentials, user ID, passwords, and the new password. In the first 5 minutes of the exercise, 400 plus users clicked on the phishing link. And that is the biggest challenge, because everyone thinks that IT is keeping us safe, which is not true. Right? There are a lot of steps to be taken. Click first mentality. You click everything the moment you get an email, click. Trust rather than verify. And this is another point which we need to kind of understand. It won't happen to me because I'm secure, I have a secure channel, I have a secure technology, it won't happen to me. Or even the personalized phishing messaging or personalized phishing attacks. I will skip these because a lot of things, a lot of information have already been discussed. So probably a couple of slides I will skip. But access broker, these are the guys who do recon, who collect information, who collect credentials, they sell those credentials to somebody else, and they attack the organization, they attack the person. It is like a broker, a simple terms in a real estate term, the broker is a bridge in between a buyer and a seller. Access broker in cybersecurity is, they are doing a lot of dirty work, a lot of information, collect, and then sell it to somebody else, and that somebody else has a sophistication and sophisticated tool to create a real attack, or to perform a real attack. And that's the reason actually this is one of the terms which is quite popular in cybersecurity incident. Probably I'll skip these the case studies because of the time. But there are a lot of things happening right now, access broker or a mule fraud, which we have seen in recent time. As I said, the payment systems threat, whether socially engineered threats or a system vulnerabilities or a phishing attack or ATP, APTs, these are the attacks which are coming in from a nation state perspective. We have seen the threat actors in e-payments and e-wallet systems, where the millions of dollars have been stolen because of the weak system, because of the weak vulnerabilities in the entire infrastructure. Let me just skip because it's not relevant here, but these are the couple of points. Probably it's not a recommendation, and these are the questions probably I would like to throw here. Definitely, there should be a technology, preventive measures, which we need to look at it, whether a facial biometric or a DMARC or a MFA or a VPN, or even a SIM swapping or port block. How we can stop that? How can we have an outreach campaign like COVID? We have a COVID campaign. Can we declare it like a cyber pandemic? Can we look at it the way we were managing a COVID cases? Can we look at the same way we can use the cyber security incidents? Can we set up the similar type of infrastructure or even the support system to the employees, to the citizens who are being attacked? Can we have a district cyber ambassadors or who can have a cyber task force, or even the cyber circles, who goes from a top to bottom, even the panchayats or districts or towns and cities, who can talk about actually a cyber hygiene. Can we have a responsibility of employees of an organization who can say, okay, I'm aware, I have completed my cyber awareness training, but can that employee give a training to his family members? Can he provide that training and awareness to family members, or those guys actually who can go and in community and society can give the same sort of cyber hygiene trainings? I think that can become a grapevine, and I think that can actually create a lot of awareness among the citizens or elderlies or who are not digital savvy. And the cyber education definitely in a primary and secondary education is one of the key factors. Probably it could be my second last slide, and I'll wrap up. If you look at the government and the cyber framework, which I'm talking about actually in various conferences, there is a responsibility from the government which is being taken care of in terms of standards, in terms of regulations, in terms of the partnership with the academia, in terms of a partnership with the stakeholders, the corporate, or even the different researchers. The responsibilities from enterprise and organizations so they can save themselves. Can they have a process in place? Can they have a right solution technology in place? Or even the digital risk management measures or the risk management measures, can they have it in place? And definitely there is a responsibility for an individual as well. Be vigilant and practice good cyber hygiene is something which is very important for everyone. The last slide from me is the integrated approach to stop cybercrime. If you look at, we focus on three things: the people, process, and technology. And human is the weakest link. Technology cannot do anything without taking a right action from the human side. And that's the reason phishing attacks are happening. Who is doing that phishing attacks? I know that they are botnet and robos, and they are going to come in the future. But right now, the human is the weakest link, and we have to focus on three parts of this integrated approach: the people, process, and technology. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. The fourth panelist today is Mr. Cyril Gu, Director, Operational Support and Analysis at Interpol. Mr. Gu commands a diverse directorate at Interpol that includes police forensics, police data management, and 24/7 operational and crisis and incident support capabilities. He has held several positions in the field of international police cooperation and counterterrorism, and has extensive experience in data analysis and digital forensic investigations. I invite Mr. Gu to enlighten us with the challenges in analyzing and operationalizing the inputs in any multi-jurisdictional cybercrime operation. Mr. Gu, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Director, for the invitation to be here today to close the discussion of the day. So it's a difficult task. I'm the last one at the day. The day has been long. Everything was beautifully said by my panelist colleagues and the other ones. And I decided not to give you any PowerPoint, just to have me on the stage with you. So I just want your attention. And I will use one word that was said by our panelist from Google. Together. That was his last word. And the topic today is technology, cyber-enabled, new fancy matters to fight crime. One thing matters. Together. You are the ones that matters. You are the ones that will work on it. That's your strengths that will make the difference. Supported by one global organization that can support you everywhere, every time, for every type of crime, Interpol. And I want to address that because we made, of course, our duty, our homeworks, and we made studies all over the world based on the information that you shared. And transnational crime and the criminal networks who perpetrate them are on a constant state of evolution, adapting themselves in response to trends in globalization, digitalization, and technological progress. The rapidity and efficacy with which illicit markets and criminal modus operandi adapt in the face of adversity, the COVID-19 global pandemic, the opportunity that this pandemic have brought, have made them visible. That's also a good point is those momentum in those moments and the global pandemics. Despite the lockdowns and worldwide restrictions on the movement of goods and persons, threat actors, whether opportunistic individuals or complex criminal organizations, proved capable of making rapid assessment and implementing change in order to overcome obstacles, undertake new criminal endeavors. And one of the most remarkable change in countries and continents all over the world over the past years, almost certainly accelerated by the global pandemic, were the rapid rates of digitalization. That was what we heard currently from all the panelists. And what we've seen is that the criminal landscape has also been greatly transformed by this evolution. The criminals are searching new opportunities, new ways to be efficient. And collectively, we have to address that. And that was also one big step taken by Interpol, who used 2022, the General Assembly in India, to present its unique and first global crime trend report, and to assess about the situation on the global and also on the regional basis towards crime trends. And one of the most striking outcomes from the analysis was how nearby every type of criminality have been utterly transformed and empowered by digital technologies, including artificial intelligence, what we all know, the Internet of Things, virtual currencies, and many others. In the framework of its global assessment, Interpol conducted also, as I told, a survey with its 195 member countries to learn from them what was their own perception about the threats that they are currently facing and the threats for the future. And nearly all of them indicated that cyber and cyber-facilitated crimes are posing them the highest threats. And also that those threats are the ones they anticipate to grow the most in the future. And among the cybercrimes and cyber-facilitated crime trends most frequently highlighted by member countries through this survey were exactly what you said. Ransomware, phishing, online scams, financial fraud, computer intrusions, hacking, and also at nearly the top, online child sexual exploitation and abuse. So I will discuss a bit later in my topic of two main crime types. On one side, the financial. On the other side, this child sexual exploitation material online. I just want to speak very briefly about what differentiates for us on Interpol vision, cybercrime and cyber-enabled crime. Once again, it has been shown that the COVID-19 pandemic led to accelerated rates of digitalization. That was exactly your topic at the end of your presentation, with both professional and personal activities being performed almost exclusively from home and online during this period, and even following the periods of lockdown. This shift in behavior undeniably opened up new avenues and incentives for cyber criminals. When we speak about cyber criminals and significant increases in cybercrime, we are speaking about both traditional cybercrimes and cyber-enabled crimes. And this is exactly the distinction Interpol is making as well for its own operational work and distribution of tasks. I want here to share some semantic clarification about how Interpol is proceeding. For us, within Interpol, and it's mainly shared by the major stakeholders and the major countries participating to the network, cybercrimes, or the pure cybercrimes, are offenses perpetrated against computers or other related devices. This category includes computer intrusion or hacking, the distribution of viruses, malwares, ransomware attacks, and distributed denial of service attacks, the DDoS. And these crimes are at the heart of our service in Singapore, the Cybercrime Directorate. However, nearly all of Interpol's specialized crime units are concerned with countering cyber-enabled crimes. Our crime is enhanced, our revenues are increased through the use of cyber. And that's also an enabler for traditional crime. And this also increased the scale and the reach of the traditional crime by the use of the computers, of communication means, not only the computer, but whatever communication means. Common cyber-enabled crimes include the online sale and distribution of illicit goods, and perhaps more frequently, cyber-enabled financial crimes, particularly online frauds and scams. For this last category, in nearly every region of the world, cyber-enabled crime have and continue to escalate. And that's exactly the reason why every single country is positioning that at the top 5 of the threat they consider as major. Just some figures. In 2022, the United States FBI released an alert. They observed 65% increase in identified global exposed losses from business email compromise fraud, the BEC fraud, over the last 5 years. And the lost, they calculated, $43 billion US. 43 billion US dollar over the 5 years. The same study also found that criminals increasingly make use of cryptocurrencies to perpetrate business email compromise because the transactions provide more anonymity than usual wire transfers. In 2022, Interpol led its first operation, First Light, to combat business email compromise, telecommunication fraud, and other social engineering frauds. And during this operation, we involved globally, and that's why, again, we are strong together. We involved 78 jurisdictions. And this allowed us, globally, collectively, to be efficient and to block nearly 4,000 bank accounts. 4,000 bank accounts, to make a bit less than 2,000 arrests, and to seize over 48 million US dollars. So, at one occasion, for one operation, putting all the one together, we are able to disrupt quite a lot of activities, to arrest quite a lot of perpetrators, and to seize a big amount of money. While cybercrime as a service is a well-known criminal concept, the nexus between cyber and financial crime has also precipitated the emergence of money laundering and other financial crime as a service. As of course, all these revenues needs to be laundered, to be reinjected in the regular business. And last year, and that was really an innovation, with the creation of Interpol new financial crime and anti-corruption unit, Interpol also officially launched its anti-money laundering rapid response protocol, which is essentially a global stop payment mechanism. And this stop payment mechanism uses I-24/7 system. I-24/7, as you may know, is a unique secured communication network, networking all the 195 countries, allowing them to share information at once in real time and to obtain also for these real results. And for example, of this anti-money laundering rapid response protocol use, 2022 again, the very first year this system or this protocol was used, a victim of a BEC, business email compromise, located in Hong Kong, transferred more or less $120,000 to a bank account located in the United Kingdom. And then, identifying the fraud, reported it directly to the Hong Kong authorities, who connected with the network, who connected with Singapore, Lyon, through I-24/7, and also at the same time with NCB in Manchester for Interpol in the UK. Directly upon the receipt of the message, Interpol activated its own IRP response. So really to stop the transfer and to have a rapid response with the NCB involved. And put in contact all the point of contact in the NCBs. And the stop payment request was addressed. At this occasion, from the $120,000 that was first transmitted, 96,000 were recovered. So directly the efficiency of the system, 80% of the different amount freezed and given back to the victim. I won't speak again about the Ponzi scheme that was brilliantly exposed in the afternoon, but that's also an operation where Interpol was detrimental, with the arrest in Italy of a Polish suspect, in Greece of a German suspect, and the seizure of assets in big amount. Online sexual exploitation and abuse. We have an increased demand for support to the member countries as the parallel increase of online child sexual exploitation and abuse material and services have been observed, particularly from offenders in so-called Western countries, targeting vulnerable children all over the world. Since early 2020, online child sexual offenders and victims spend more time online. And demands for the production and the production of online child sexual exploitation and abuse materials increased in 2019 and 2020 and gone with 2021. We count that more than 30% increase have been observed in the last years, and that's an historical peak. Therefore, and it was mentioned also by our last presenters, Interpol offers to the world its International Child Sexual Exploitation Database, launched in 2009, and which is the most powerful investigative support to the member countries. Actually, 68 countries are using it, 68 countries with their own specialized unit, sharing more than 4.3 million images and video, allowing them to identify victims on the images, to locate where those victims are. But more importantly, to identify the perpetrators and to link those perpetrators all over the world with their IP address and to support in further hand the investigation. We are currently building the next generation of ICSE database and depending on the funding opportunities. So, and I will finish with that. What is the way forward to tackle this type of crime? As it was here commonly shared and noted everywhere, the new normal is digital. That's the new norm. Everyone is using digital. We are all typing on your phone. When I began 30 years ago, I said I was the first one in my unit having the only one computer 30 years ago. That's the gray hair. I was the first one in my unit having a transportable phone with the battery below. Yes, that was it. That's not dinosaurs, but that's it. New technology are the matrix today. And Interpol has become the main platform for work, social and economic activities. That's our environment. That's the criminal environment. And we shall not fear that. We shall implement further cybersecurity safeguards that was presented and digital trust to challenge that in the future. And we are not doing it in isolation. We are doing it collectively. We are doing it because every country involved share their new technologies, share their interests, and provide also Interpol, but also regional organizations with their new technologies, with their innovation. And this shall also be supported collectively by our public-private partnerships. And that's also where we are strong. Security is not only the matter of law enforcement. Security is a co-production. It's a co-production for administration, law enforcement, but also from the private sector. And that's exactly why we are building throughout Interpol Global Network those partnerships, those hubs, to tackle globally, together, crime. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Gu, and all the panelists on the dais. Today's discussion, I would like to say, has lucidly brought out the motivations behind cyber-enabled crimes, the challenges faced by the LEAs, and the effort being made by the big techs to tackle this challenge. To sum up the discussions, in the changing criminal landscape, what would be required is 1, innovative approach, 2, new legal framework, 3, reduction in response time by the LEAs, 4, new and agile mindset for digital policing, 5, collaboration between the public and the private sector, 6, promotion of international cooperation, 7, increased vigilance and awareness, 8, greater investment in cyber security measures in both public and private sectors, and 9, multi-stakeholder cooperation for a more proactive and nimble approach. Friends, 3 of our panelists have joined us by traveling a distance from their respective locations, along with Mr. D.C. Jain, and I thank them for their fascinating presentations, which has provided and incisive and valuable insights and led to thought-provoking between us. And I would like to request So as we are overshooting time, so I would like to do away with the question and answer sessions, which was there. I would now like to request you, sir, to kindly come on the dais to present a memento and a commemoration coin to the panelists as a token of our appreciation. Thank you very much, sir. This brings us to the end of the deliberations. Let us resolve to continue to work together for a safer digital environment. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.